szeretném kérni előadásra. Giuseppe, ti prego di tenere la tua presentazione. Yes.
Yes, perfect. So I think I can get started.
Yes.
All right. So I was mentioning, I just want to check, if you can see my screen? Oh, perfect, perfect. Now I see everything. So I was mentioning that as part of my work, I look at the trends in technology and how these trends affects the skill set that the different job family of network engineer, software developer, and security professional are affected. And this is a task, a job where you never get bored, because there is so much happening that it's really hard to have it done all in a once. You have to continuously monitor this technology. And I mentioned here in this slide some of the major trends, but it's not just relevant to look at how technology change, but we need also to take in consideration other factors. For example, how the job market is changing because of the technology and because of the other trends, the other global trends. For example, how the education also needs to change or is evolving to cope with a different situation. And last but not least, how the same work environment is changing. And this is particularly relevant nowadays, and because it has been so dramatically impacted by what we have seen so far. And so I would like, for this reason, to do an experiment, mental experiment, a Gedanken experiment. Let's for a moment put ourselves exactly 1 year ago. And let's think for a moment, so we are in 2020, 27th of February, and we need to imagine what will be the technology or the fact most relevant for the future of the work and the future of education of the next years. I imagine that you, as me, would have started thinking about, the most important things will be artificial intelligence impacting the work and using a large-scale computing, maybe quantum computing, using exabyte of data. And this is where, this will change everything when we will get there. With a general intelligence or very sophisticated area of intelligence. But in reality, what we have seen is that probably the smallest computing system, a single-stranded genomic RNA that can be represented with a few tenths of kilobytes of representation, has arrived in our society and has changed everything in a very few months. So how that has changed? We know that was a trend happening. There was the digital transformation of every business and society. And when the COVID and the pandemic arrived, has accelerated this transformation. So it has given a new force, a new speed to this acceleration. And this acceleration, if we then look at what causes as an effect on a key system that is the network, we see that accelerating digital transformation pushes the infrastructure, the ICT infrastructure, to transform. And this transformation is what enables the digital transformation to happen in every business. But as a side effect, this transformation of the infrastructure starts a transformation in the new competencies that a professional worker needs to operate design and operate ICT infrastructure. And these new competencies allow more and more business to transform and create pressure for new demand of ICT competencies. In particularly, this new infrastructure that is changed because the business wants and needs to evolve at the scale of the software. The software can innovate fast and faster. So the approach for the infrastructure that used to be the static part now has become programmable. And so we use in the infrastructure the same methods and methodology that have been used for the software to manage different components and to adapt different components of the infrastructure. So it started from the cloud, but now it's spanning in the network access, in the wide area network, and in the data center. Sometimes it's also called as infrastructure as a code, exactly to express this idea that has become fluid and the whole network and system is considered as a one complex system. But this can be daunting, right? Let's try to have a simplified picture of what we are talking about. So back in the old day, right, the IT and networking story was very simple to tell. We have devices that needs to connect to application, and they use the network to do that. Very simple. But while this things was simple, there was the first, and of course, I don't have to forget, we want to security. So how we do security? We create a wall around this system so no one can hurt us. But then a revolution started on the application side. We want to start using application as a service, consume the application as a service, the Salesforce, the Office 365. And so the application is something different now. But we want also to use the cloud for our own applications. So we want the infrastructure as a service. Or we want to build sophisticated application using AI and machine learning that requires large computing capability and a lot of data. And therefore, we want platform as a service. We don't want to build all the infrastructure by ourselves. We want just to rent it the system that we need. And why not? We want then to run our own infrastructure, the internal infrastructure, as simple and as efficient as the cloud is run. And now we want to integrate what we do inside with what existing outside. And so it starts to become a hybrid cloud, a multi-cloud, where we have different cloud provider internally, externally. And this affects how we create the application. We don't want to have a monolithic application in one place. We want the application to be more like an orchestration of different services containing different containers and spread among multiple clouds, up to the point of I don't want even to think about the concept of server. I just want the function to be executed. But why this kind of big bang on the software was happening? Also on the other side, there was another transformation on the devices, the multiplication of number of devices. I want to use my own devices in the enterprise. I want to use mobile. I'm expecting to use mobile for everything, and I'm expecting to use it with very high bandwidth effective technology for wireless access like Wi-Fi 6 or 5G. And by the way, it's not anymore about personal devices. It's also about the thing that now connect to the internet. It's even more relevant than traffic. And then now the things also are part of the computing, because I want to get the computing closer to the source of the data. So with the concept of edge computing and fog computing, not to mention the new workload that are coming from virtual reality, augmented reality. So you can see that this scenario has become very complex. The pressure on the network that is the glue of all these things, and there is no border anymore. So the concept of security must be done in terms of identity of the object, policy control end-to-end, and using data analytics to verify behavior and to prevent attack. So this is the technology, and on the business side also there is a lot of change, because now the business is asking different questions. They ask questions. It used to be, what is the connectivity you can give me, and how stable is the infrastructure? Now are questions that are more close to the strategic goal. I want to automate my infrastructure because I need to do cost saving. I want to integrate my system. My systems are very complex. I needed to integrate and manage in a simplified way. I need to solve my critical business problem. How can I differentiate myself in the market? How can transform digitally in the market using the infrastructure? And this reflects on changes of competencies of people. The siloed world of I work on devices, I work on the network, I work on the application, so I focus on specific knowledge body and methodology has disappeared. And now everybody has to look at the things horizontally, understand what is happening not only in his domain, but also on the edge of his domain, and be able to talk with other people on the other sides of the domain. And so we can see that this new network that has become a complex system and have control point like network controller, and has been able also to be virtualized and is operated and executed like a software system, allows us to achieve important business results, business outcome. For example, I can use the API of devices of a network controller to operate at scale. So now I'm not playing one instrument, I'm orchestrating a lot of different devices that metaphorically I call instruments. Or I can use the API and the scripting to replicate configuration from one part of my network to other parts. If I have thousands of points of presence of shops all around the world, I don't need to configure each and every one, repeating the configuration, but I can create a template configuration, deploy this configuration everywhere, or roll back in case something wrong happened. I can use the API to extract data, so I can observe what is happening in every part of my infrastructure and extract insight at IT layer, but also at the business layer. And I can use the API and code to automate the workflow of a network engineer or an IT person. And last but not least, I can use the machine learning with this data, a lot of data acquired, to recognize anomalies and predict outages. So it's clear that the future of IT, but I will say today, will require people to bring together not only the three main areas, so the networking competencies, the software competencies, and the security competencies, to really have this kind of profile in the skills that is called T-shaped, where you have a breadth of knowledge and you understand what's happening horizontally, and then you have your depth of knowledge where you go deep in one specific area. So how we can respond to these trends? We talked to the CIO of a company, and everybody agrees, 90% agree, that every company is facing a disruptive change, even before the pandemic, but this now is accelerated. And 70% of the CIO declare that they think that they don't have the skills to adapt. So there is an incredible demand of skills for driving this transformation. And one success factor that hiring managers are considering is the possibility to recognize skills in talents using certification as a kind of stipulation among the education systems and work environment. For this reason, about 1 year ago, we added on top of the traditional networking certification that Cisco has been running for more than 20 years, the CCNA, the CCNP, and CCIE, and specialists, another layer of certification, more connected with this integration of software, of skills from software and networking and infrastructure. And so we released the first courseware that prepares for the DevNet Associate certification. That is the first certification that covers these aspects of network programmability and integration through APIs in the infrastructure. The curriculum is available, and recently on last January, we also released it for everyone in Networking Academy, Packet Tracer 8.1. Packet Tracer 8.1 integrates a new devices that is the network controller. So for the first time inside Packet Tracer, you can experiment what does it mean to do a SDN, a software-defined network, where you have a network controller that has the full visibility of your devices in the network. And you can use API, northbound API on your network controller, both from inside Packet Tracer, but also from outside Packet Tracer. From your own computer, you can use script to query, to call APIs of the network controller inside the Packet Tracer. And this opened possibility, incredible possibility for teaching this area of intersection of infrastructure skills and software skills. And I want to mention that PT8 also includes an advanced physical layer. So the physical view of PT8 now allows students to do cabling directly in the physical mode, to see how devices look like from front side, rear side, and really have an environment that simulates what you will do in a real physical environment when you work on a rack in a technical communication closet. So in conclusion, I think that I hope we will get very fast out of this pandemic. We don't know exactly when we will get back, but we know that we are not going back to the past. We are going back to the future. And we want to build together with you this future that must be inclusive and must prepare people for the future jobs. And so for our side, we want to equip students with career-ready skills to increase their opportunity to employment. And we want always invest in research and development to create experiences that are more immersive and more exciting for the students for learning these new skills. So let's redesign for the digital world together, knowing that the ICT competencies are even more important than ever. But on top of those competencies, we really need to train our students for a different mindset, a mindset that is based on agility, a mindset that is based on flexibility, be able to adapt a different situation, and also a mindset that leverages creativity to problem solving. So in that way, we will be able to serve every way as we have done in the last month. We cannot predict the future, but we can try to get ready for it. And with that, I will conclude my presentation, thanking you, and I will give the floor to the host. Thank you very much.